What's going on? It's your boy Bowie here, aka the glaciologist, aka the sub-scientist, aka Akon and Young Freeze. Yes, indeed. So anyway, this video is also about Sub-Zero Janet, but I actually want to make an addendum to a video covering the Sub-Zero Janet meta. Reason why I am considered to be the sub-scientist is because my ass gets in that lab and I try to notice the little nuances, because even the smallest detail might be the difference. So there's something that I advocated for people to do in the Sub-Zero Janet meta video. I advocated for them to use the universal clone setup like this. And I want to say that you can use this, but it's not nearly as safe as the setup that you should use. That also involves Janet Cage. So let me explain. So I wanted to use a combo setup with Sub Janet that allowed Sub-Zero to drop down right in front of the opponent. Because what happens is, when Sub-Zero does universal clone setup and does neutral jump punch, did you notice that I landed directly vertically? That's good, right? But if you do certain combos, notice I don't land vertically. I move forward, even though I do a neutral jump punch. That's not good. You don't want Sub-Zero to jump into the corner as you're trying to do the universal clone setup. You want Sub-Zero to land vertically. That way he can plop right down in front of the perfect distance for him to pop out that clone, right? But the issue is, the combo that I told y'all to use, though it behaves properly in terms of moving Sub-Zero vertically, it doesn't give you enough frame advantage for you to be consistently safe. Let me demonstrate what I mean, because so under normal circumstances, well, let me show the typical scenario. So typically, when Sub-Zero does the universal clone setup, he's anywhere from plus 43 to plus 44. Of course, there he was plus 41. But that just really depends on when Sub-Zero jumps. See, that's plus 43. Bruh. If you're right underneath Cage, you'll be plus 44, or sometimes you'll be plus 44. Well, I was getting plus 44 earlier. But as you can see, I'm getting plus 43, right? Plus 43 is important because the ice clone recovers in 44 frames, right? So what's beautiful is you have just enough frame advantage to safely do an ice clone. And this means that Sub-Zero can safely use this setup to consistently block against any and all wake-ups. Because armored wake-up is the way to beat a clone setup like this. And as you can see, anytime I use this clone setup, blocking is easy as shit. It's consistent, right? And notice I didn't use meter here, but even if I use meter, like on Deadly Vapors, I'm safe. Or even if I use the meter on EX Polar Palm, I'm still safe. You see that? I'm safe no matter what. And that's why this is the universal clone setup, right? But notice both of those required meter. or otherwise I have to use this unsafe and slow overhead, right? And so if you can imagine, I wanted to be able to use some sort of meterless combo that would let Sub-Zero set up the universal clone setup and be safe from Cage. So the easiest thing I thought to do was this. But notice, I got punished. I got hit. Now this time I didn't get hit. What the hell? It's the same combo. What's going on? Well, let's look at the frame data. So, as opposed to a regular universal clone setup which has the opponent grounded, if I use Polar Palm, as opposed to being plus 43, notice Sub-Zero's plus 38. In other words, I lost 5 frames of frame advantage. Those 5 frames are very important. Very, very important. Because Johnny Cage's shadow kick is 10 frames, right? 10 frames. However, if you do an attack, notice the startup went from 10 to 14 frames. Normally it's 10. I want you to look at Johnny Cage's startup. 10 frames typically, right? But if you hit the armor, it's 14. You see? So he gains 4 frames of startup if you hit the armor, right? So between me losing 5 frames of safety and him gaining 4 frames of startup, you would think that this might not make a difference. But the problem is, sometimes when I do this setup here, instead of me being plus 38, I might be plus 37. Damn. Which gets me killed. So I actually don't recommend that you use this combo at all. You can use it. And against every other wake up besides this one, you'll probably be safe, right? But here's something that you can use that's much more consistently safe. Watch this. Look at that. I have a lot of time now. And that's because I go back to having 40 frames of advantage when I do this setup here. I think it's like 41. See, that was 40. But I've seen it be 41 frames as well. See? Those 2 or 3 frames turn out to be very, very important. Those extra frames allow me the time to block Johnny Cage consistently. So I do a jump in, forward 1-2 slide. Notice I'm constantly and consistently able to block any shadow kick attempt. Now let me see what happens if I just forward jump. Yeah, same thing. I'm able to consistently block it, and it just doesn't matter. You see? Now, you might be wondering, why don't I just try something like this? Well, without Janet, I don't get a clone at all. That's one. That's one problem. And then, let me try something else. I'm going to try to use Janet. See, notice I'm not safe no more. You see? So that setups, if I don't use this very specific combo, I'm not safe. Well, I didn't even clone there. I fucked up. Sorry. See? Safe. Every single time. Every single time. So, if you're going to use the universal clone setup with sub Janet, my suggestion is to do this one. So, in case you haven't been watching, you do any string into regular deadly vapors, then you do 1-2 freeze, 1-2 clone, I should say. Then you jump in. So, you know, any hit confirm you do. You do deadly vapors into 1-2 freeze. Then I jump in and do jump in punch, forward 1-2 slide, and then you get the triple Janet. Oh, hold on, let me do that. I did that so damn slow. Come on. That wasn't even. Safe. So that is your setup for your universal clone. Of course, you can always still use the train, but the problem is the train's not going to work on Cage. It doesn't matter what combo you do. Any combo that ends with that is going to let you get kicked in the face. You know. And it's not just Cage. Like any character with a really fast wake up, like Sub-Zero, like Scorpion, like Li Mei, like Omni-Man, like anyone that has a fast, forward advancing, quick wake up like that, that's faster than 15 frames, they're gonna bust out of the shit. And then they're gonna hit you. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want that. You want them to waste their meter, get blocked, and then get killed still. So that's what you're looking for. That way you get the real damage you were looking for. Look at that. So this is another layer of the Sub Janet meta. She gives Sub-Zero safe clone setups. Completely safe. And you'll notice I didn't spend a single bar of meter to do this. Which then frees you to use bar on EX Clone. And EX Clone is supremely powerful. And I forgot to mention that in the video, but that's okay, because I'll mention it now. EX Clone is supremely powerful, because now the overhead becomes available to use. You know what I'm saying? So in addition to the opponent having to worry about being thrown into it or having a low hit into it, now you can overhead them as well. Hold on. Oh, I hadn't even tried that. Yeah, you can even... I hadn't even thought of doing that. Jesus Christ. Because the slide is very dangerous. I mean, this is dangerous as well, and it's not a mix-up, but, you know. But the point of what I'm getting at is this right here. Will keep that ass safe. And you can, you know, set up a very dangerous clone. So yeah, that's another reason to pick Sub-Zero Janet. All right. I hope you guys make use of this. Let me know how y'all feel in the comments. I'll catch y'all later. Stay froze.